for launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps to cabin link check.
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello. Happy Friday. Sorry, my thing is aimed to the ceiling. How are you guys? I'm so happy to see you. Welcome in. I hope you had a great Friday. If you are a fellow friend of mine in Virginia, I hope you did not melt because we had 90-degree weather and horrible humidity today. And my AC decided, well, let's just not work. So there was my day. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. Heidi, thank you so much for coming. Bob, I see you. Robert, welcome in. Survivor Blue 7, hello. Just knows my phone's almost dead. Oh no, Gabby, hello. Ed, I'm so happy you're here. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for sharing out. I'm so happy you guys stopped by. As always, feel free to get into the chat. Let me know your thoughts, opinions. So I originally was going to do 10 cursed places tonight, but when I started gathering all my notes and all my research from years going on, I realized I need to break it down to 5 tonight, and then I'll do 5 another week because it's a lot to dig into for 1 hour. And I don't want to keep you guys too long. Get your ghost on. Yes. First place that comes to mind when reading the title is the Islands of Adults. Heidi, you must be like super psychic because that's the very first location we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about 5 again, and then I have another 5 for a following week. There's tons of them, honestly. I'm so happy you're here. So question for the chat, I would love to know, do you guys believe, and there's no wrong answer, do you believe that a person and or a place can actually be cursed, or do you think it's just something that people create this assumption and it just kind of goes on throughout the years and builds and builds and builds and becomes like this media fest? What do you guys think? We had 88 degrees of, oh my God, y'all are that hot already? Yes. It was 90 today and my house was hot. but hopefully tomorrow it will be fixed. So we're going to do 5. And then, as always, if you have questions, I have pictures. We're going to talk, and I will let you guys know if these locations are, you can visit them, or if they are closed off to the public. And so let's do this. Again, question for the chat is, do you believe that it is possible for a person and or a place to be cursed, haunted, everything be haunted? Do you believe it could be cursed? That's what I would love to know. Okay, let me get my pictures up here, and we can start with the very first one. Where's my folder? Okay. Let's get started. Okay. Yes, I believe land can be cursed. Welcome in, Michelle. I'm so happy you're here. So you believe it. So we have one believe, no way. And I must say I have abilities, but not super psychic. You might surprise yourself. Because you had it on the you had it on the head. We're doing this one first. So this, if nobody knows what this is the island of the dolls. It is in Mexico City. It has been going on since the 50s. And to answer your question, if you are able to get to Mexico, you can take a boat ride that lasts 4 hours round trip and pay $75, and you can go and see all these dolls. Yes, Keith says yes. Human, a curse can be placed if you believe in the curse. Ed, I had a priest tell me that. I had a priest tell me when I was doing demonology. He was like, a curse only works if you believe it does. And I was like, that's an interesting concept. I don't know. I stand on the line where I am not going to really tick off anybody. Has that kind. Locations can be cursed, just like being blessed. There is a balance. Yes. I wrote a comment that said I was grateful to be here after RNN said so happy I was here. Oh, that was me saying that. I am happy you were here. All right, so let's break down, how did this island become cursed? So there was a man, his name was Don Julian, and back in the 1950s, I don't know why, but for some reason he decided that he was going to abandon his family. Again, I don't know what was going on to make him want to, but he decided, she's gonna check out. So he ended up going around selling some things that I guess maybe vegetables, things that he had. And then there was a theory that he got really into religion, and he was going around trying to preach the religion, and he was kind of shunned to the island, where he actually lived until he passed away in 2001. Hello, Glenda's Magic Creation. Depends on who does the curse, and that's what I'm saying. There's some people that I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna stay over here and not make you upset. Hello, Michelle. Hello. I meant all land has good and bad from the past. Yes, we leave I believe in energetic imprints. Hello, Dawn. How are you? I'm so happy you're here. How have you been? Okay, so how did it become cursed? And you're thinking, okay, a man's on the island, cool. However, so he's walking the island one day, and he comes upon a little girl that had drowned. And next to the little girl that had drowned was her doll. So the story goes on to say that he started to be affected by this little girl that he said that was looking for her doll. So he decided to appease and like give an offering. No, Rocket, my cat's going to try to take over my computer. He's going to hang up the doll. And not only is he going to hang up one, because he's like, well, what if she wants more than one doll? So he goes around and collects from trash and, different places, continuously adds on to the dolls, because he felt like he was being tormented by this little girl's spirit that wanted her doll. Yes, he did. Well, allegedly, because there are some stories that says there's no proof of a little girl, but I found that bogus, because a lot of times, especially in 1950s, in certain countries like Mexico and all those, birth certificates, death certificates, things like that kind of get misconstrued. For instance, well, that was before the 50s, but like my mother and father-in-law are from Guatemala and El Salvador, and it would take days. So the baby would be born, and then it would take days. They'd have to go down and get the birth certificate. So it's funny, because like my father-in-law was born on one day, but his birth certificate says another. Same way if he passed away. Now, it might be better now, 2025, but so there's theories that there was no proof, but he claims that there was a little girl, and he needed to continuously hang these dolls. All about intentions. Yes. Let's see. Especially if there's a curse on the land, if it's a spiritual land guardian and rare, it could be released. Ooh. Hi, all. Cursed objects and places can be a thing if it was intent from the cursor. I also think if one believes in said curse, then it might amplify things. I believe in manifesting in our intentions. Absolutely. First thing I do when moving to a new location, especially if I feel uncomfortable, is find out about the land. Yes. Yes. There's all kinds of like little trinkets I do too. Like I always leave my broom at my old house and buy a brand new broom. Like there's little things I do to like welcome blessings to my land and home because I don't want, I like my little bubble. I go see the haunted places. I don't want them to come see me, if that makes sense. So over the years, and I actually have a picture of him laying down next to a doll. Let me pull that up. I have more pictures. So this is not the best picture, but it's one I could find. If it's going to pop up. Here we go. Here we go. So here he is with one of his dolls. Now, hello. I'm so happy you guys are here. So we have to think about, so they would say that people would visit him. And he was a very friendly man. He was not mean. If you came to the island and you wanted to see his little shack of haunted dolls, he would let you. And over time, more and more people would come. And then so some people would come and they would, give a little offering of a donation of some kind of money value. I don't know how much. And so he noticed there was a thing, and that's how he started to make his money. Also, they would notice that in his little shack, he would like dress the dolls and add accessories to the dolls. And he did all this. I mean, he was like really into this situation. Hello, Glenda. That's interesting. Yes. And this is a real place. Again, in 2025, $75 and a 4-hour boat ride will get you to this island to see these dolls if you want to. I think it'd be cool to see them. I just, like wave and take pictures. I don't do dolls. I always have a thing about me. If I go antiquing or if I go to like Goodwill or any antique store or any thrift store, I have 2 rules: no mirrors, no dolls. Anything else is fair game. And of course, needs to get cleansed. But never will you see me buying a used doll or mirror. Hello, Howie's on the other end. Hello. Just a bit creepy. Now, over the years, more people brought dolls and continue. So this is the kicker. This is how the story gets really interesting. I'm going to pull up the other picture because you can see the island better on that one. Let me show you how it gets more interesting. So in 2001, now remember all the years these people are coming and going to see this island and meet Mr. Don. And there's a Don in the chat. So one day somebody finds him. He drowned, or allegedly drowned, because he had passed away. And it's only one assumption if you're in the water is you drown. In the same exact spot that he always claimed all those years he found a little girl. So every time somebody would come see him, he'd be like, right there, that's where the little girl was. Now, I don't know if he buried her or called the authorities. The story is not really answered. I could find at least accurate details on that. But when they found him, he was in the same exact spot, passed away, that he said the little girl was found. So ever since then, to this day, people are still taking dolls and seeing dolls. And all that. So they say it's cursed by the little girl spirit. I don't know if that's true. I mean, that's up to you guys to decide. No dolls. They stare at me. I know somebody that collects haunted dolls, and I'm just like, how do you sleep in your room with that thing in there? I don't even want a chair facing my bed. Let's see. That with a clown suit feels more negative, energetic, and all hanging various dolls in one. It's always the clowns guy. It's funny how I'm not scared of clowns, but my uncle, he was in the chat. I don't know if he's still in here, but he is terrified of clowns. And so I always pick on him. I'm going to get him like a little clown doll. And when my mom passed away, she had a Raggedy Ann and Andy set. And I used to tell him I'm going to go put it on this bed at night. But I'm so happy you're here, Hallie. Love you too. I hope you have a good weekend. So this is the Island of the Dolls. Again, if you're just tuning in, we're going to cover 5 places this week, and then 2 weeks from now we'll do the other 5 because I'm gonna break them down. Mr. Don is what created it in 1950s. 2001, he passed away. You can still visit it, and it's in Mexico. If that's your jam. Yes. Just the overall energy, not because it's a clown. Oh, I get it. For me, a lot of people are scared of clowns, period, no matter what. No matter what. And I don't know, they don't bother me as long as they're not chasing me. Okay, let's just pulling up my pictures. I hope they're going to come in order. They never save in order. All right, let's get to the one is like probably the most popular that people know of, and that's in Japan. Let's see. Hello, no. Oh yeah, there he is. No, he said no. That's my uncle, guys. He lives with me, and we've always been super close. And he lived with my mom before she passed and took care of her, and so he's terrified of all dolls and clowns, things, and snakes. In case anybody cares. Okay, so what I have here pictured is Mount Fiji. I'm gonna say that word right. Mount Fiji. So obviously we're in Japan, and at the bottom of this mountain is a beautiful forest that is known as the Sea of Trees. Unfortunately, it is now known as the forest where everybody goes and unalives themselves. So we're going to break down why and how that happened. It's one of the places on my bucket list I would love to go visit, and, just to see what it's like, what the, kind of get a picture of what the elements are like that would make somebody want to go and do this. But we're going to talk about some reasons why people say it happens. Yeah, no snakes. As long as said clown does not have sharp teeth, then I'm good. Oh my goodness, no snakes. Yeah, I don't do snakes either. No, thank you. My daughter one day, she was like, "Can I get a pet snake?" No, not in this home. When you're 18, you can go do what you want to do. Okay, so let's pull up the forest. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Isn't it beautiful? So it's known as the Sea of Trees before it was called anything else. And if you were to visit it today, first thing you're going to notice is a whole lot of signs, and I have pictures of that kind of tell people, don't, you're important, you're loved, your parents love you. You don't have to do this. If you need help, call this number. Because unfortunately, over the years, a lot of people would go in and unalive themselves here. And there's people that will go in there and think about it. So if you go, you'll see a whole lot of strings and things like that people would use to tie to lead their way to where they were going to go. And if they decided, hey, I'm going to stick around, they'd be able to come back out, because the forest is so dense that if you don't do that, it's a good possibility that you're going to get lost and then not make it back out due to everything looks the same and navigation. Fun fact, most compasses do not work in this forest. So you really don't have anything else to rely on. Your phone probably does not work in this forest. And so what do you have to either know what you're doing or have that string? Okay. But it is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay. I'm going to find my one with the string. There we go. So this is what it would look like. So again, the string would be used to help you lead your way back. Now, it is said that the Yuri live here, which the Yuri are Japanese ghosts. Some people will say they're vengeful. Some people will say they're nice. And some people say that the ghosts that are sitting in this forest are ghosts of elderly people that were dropped off years and years ago because the family were no longer able to care for them. So they would just go and unfortunately drop them off. And then those people would pass away due to the elements because, there's no food, there's no water. And if you're elderly, you can't get around very much. And then you cold, hot, you get the point. So they're said that these people passed away, and then they became Yuri. And there you go. Hi, Amy. Now this one with the forest makes me feel interdimensional portals. That's a good way to look at it. Don't take the rocks from Hawaii Island, as they cursed them after the queen was taken out of power by the USA at the turn of the century. I always tell everybody, don't take anything from anywhere. Like there's people that I know there's people that like to go to get grave dirt and like dirt from locations and things like that. I'm just like, you're taking that energy back home with you. I'm going to leave it there. Amy, welcome in. How was fishing? Okay. I have. So every year there's certain rangers that will go in and, they will. Maybe I won't show that one. I have one, but it has bones in it. So maybe for Facebook purposes, I don't show that one. So I'll skip that one to show this. But anyway, so the last picture I was going to show you, it had bones and then it had like shoes and things like that. So there's tons of shoes found and personal belongings. A lot of people will leave letters in there and, tie them to the string to where, the ones they were going to use to get back, they would tie the letter to the string. So that way, when the people that run, that work in the forest and do all that, rangers or whatever they're called, they would get the letter and get the letter back to the family of the person that did it. It was fun. Oh, that's good. We're talking about the forest in Japan. So in its peak in 2000, about 100 bodies were found per year at this forest. That's how bad it was. I'm sorry, guys, my cats are fighting. And so let's talk about why people were doing it. Well, a lot of people were overworked. There's a big financial crisis in Japan. There's a lot of pressure on students there. It's a little bit different than here. A lot of pressure from families. So these people would be so pressured out that they felt like they had nothing else and they would go and do this. Lonely, sad. Mental health is a really big deal. So what they did is they decided they were going to revamp and they started putting out signs. Now, if you are, hi, Mariana, welcome in. Now, let's say you just want to go see the forest, and you can go walk the forest. There's paths, everything. And so what some things that people notice is in the forest, you will feel like someone's watching. A lot of people will say they feel like they're being watched. Some people see the eerie in there. And there are also reports, and this is why, I'm going to tell you why, is that there's not a lot of sound in there. So you ever go in the woods and you'll hear birds and you'll hear like a lot of, bugs and things like that. Where in this forest is very silent. But there's a reason, because of the way that it's at the bottom of a mountain. So when the mountain erupted and all the lava rocks fell down the mountain, it created the soil and these rocks, which lava rocks they absorb sound. So if you are surrounded by lava rocks and dirt and things like that, it absorbs the sound so you don't hear it like you would at any other woods. So that is why you don't hear the sound there. And again, really eerie, very compasses don't work here. There's something to do with electromagnetic field here that's wonky. Obviously, I've talked to you guys about winds and how if you have a mountain and the wind is coming in, how that could sound and make you feel. Anytime you have electromagnetic field varieties, you can feel headaches, nausea, hallucinations. So a lot of things like this. A lot of people that decide to stay the night just to see if they want to stay, they tend, I don't want to say they hallucinate, but they tend to see things at night that, tricks them or makes them think that there's other people out there. Thank you very much. Sound and energy. Yep. The rocks. You have to look into the lava rocks because people freak out like there's some kind of demonic reason why there's no sound. But no, that one is actually scientifically proven because once you erupt, it pours down. So this is why this one is cursed or allegedly cursed. And it's basically, think about this, 100 bodies a year. And that's just from 2000 up. And then there's a few years where it doubled and there's a few years where it got a little better. So imagine all the energy and everybody that's doing this to themselves are sad, stressed, and that's a whole different kind of energy, right? When you feel like you're at your rock bottom, there's nothing else you can do. That's a different creation of energy. So all this is impacted on this land, and that's why this one is such a hot spot for this. Let's go camping there. We can go walking. I don't see no Yuri at night. I don't know. Maybe we set up a camera. You know why I don't know if I could do it? Because I would get lost. You guys know Ashley in the woods is getting lost. Especially we'd have to have a really good bright rope because I don't want to be lost in the woods in Japan with the ghosts. But that's definitely on my bucket list of places I want to see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything. I wrote down some notes because my brain goes wonky sometimes when I'm trying to repeat I talked about the elderly, which is really sad, and that is something that happened there. I talked about the lava. That was the most important I want to tell you about. Obviously, the signs, I wrote them down to translate. That sign pretty much says, your life is precious gift. Please consult with the police before you decide to do that, and things like that. Also, if you go here to camp and you stay up for days, that obviously causes sleep deprivation, which causes hallucination and all that. Okay, I want to talk about, where's my plague doctor at? I want to talk about this one next. What do I do with them? So I have my date right. 1 second, guys. Is this it? Yeah. Let's go to Italy next. This is my favorite one. He gets lost. She gets lost in the city. You would camp there, Mariana? I do, guys. I am horrible. Remember the days when you used to have to go to mapquest.com and get directions? I would call my uncle crying because I'd be in downtown Richmond lost. I admit that. I do. All right, let's go to Italy. This is one of my favorite locations to talk about. Where do we go? Okay. Here we go. 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 This beautiful island that's in Italy, and it's still there today. Obviously, it is very overgrown. I've had a lot more pictures for you guys to show. This is what it kind of looked like when it was at its prime. It's beautiful, and it is called, and I always, oh my God, I like to call it the Plague Island because that's what it was, but it's Proviglia Island, and it's between Venice and Lido, and it's one of the most haunted places in the world. If you ever have the ability to go visit this place is only unofficial tours. It is not like one you can go pay and go see it. You have to unofficially find somebody that knows somebody that's going to get you over there. And then I'll tell you why you might not even want to go over there because it's pretty yucky when you think about it. Hey, Katie, welcome in. I'm so happy to see you. Yeah, but I love the spirit world. I love it too. It's not the spirit world that scares me in the woods. It's the cryptids that's in there. Those things, I don't play with that. All right, so let's talk about this beautiful location. So goes way back to the year 421 AD. It was first mentioned in the books and whatever, not books, but in like scrolls and papers we have from back then. It was used like for when they were fighting. It was like a place where they could hold people. And it was for barbarian invasions. That's what I wanted to say. And then it was abandoned in 1379 due to the war to Genoa. And then boom, this is when it gets spicy. In the 1700s, we have what? We have the plague, right? And I'm going to talk about the plague in a second because most people kind of know what the plague was and kind of don't know anymore because we have a lot of younger people, and don't really teach it no more. So in the 1700s, it became a quarantine station. So if you came, and do I have the map picture? Let me see here. Here we go. Okay. So in the 1700s, if you were coming over to Italy, you would be on one of these ships. And you would have to go to the island and stay for 40 days to see if A, you got sick, and if you were sick, to see if you survived or you passed away. Dawn says, hello, sister. Hello, hello, hello. She said spicy. Yes, it gets spicy. So let's talk about the plague, and then we'll talk about what happened after the plague. So if you were alive in the 1700s, you got on the ship, and the ships had what? They had mice. These mice got bit by infected fleas that were full of this virus, bacteria, whatever you want to call it. They bit the rats. The rats got into the humans' food because, rations on the ship back then are very limited. Or they bit you, or they were in your, they sneezed near you. I don't know. But it would go to humans. And so my cats are really fighting over here in the corner. Note to self to put them up next time. That's when we start seeing the plague doctors. I'm just going to pull up. There we go. So remember these guys? A lot of people will dress up like these guys. space. Now, so 40 days was standard period for ships. And pretty much you would go and if you're already sick, you probably weren't going to make it because the treatments were really yucky too. And I'm going to talk about those too. So you would pretty much have what we consider like pneumonia or common cold today is kind of the same symptoms. I'll take the creepy woods. Yeah. We like spicy. So there was 3 kinds of bubonic plague. So there's one that's like the common cold where you have your sniffy, coughing, all that yuckiness, flu. And then you have what we consider the septic one where you are septic, you have, your stomach, gastroenteritis issues, it's hit your blood. That one you're not surviving because there's no antibiotics, right? And then you have one that's more like pneumonia based where the bacteria is actually entering your lung. And that survival is very limited too. Now, if you get the first set, you might survive. But do you know the reason behind the mask? No, I don't know the reason behind the mask. I've seen it. I don't know the true reason behind it. So if you want to enlighten me, that would be great. I think it's a cool mask. Kind of freaky. So while he's answering, let's talk about treatment. So obviously there's different herbs and things they would do, but one of the biggest treatments they had was bloodletting. And if you don't know what bloodletting is, that's where they take a bunch of leeches and stick them on your body, and the leeches suck the toxins through your blood. It's a really big thing back then. That's one of the biggest things they had, because remember, you got fever, you're probably puking everywhere, your stomach, you can't control that. They would put a whole bunch of leeches on you and do that. PPE. The smell, the smell probably, yeah. PPE, there was no PPE. Well, yeah, we have that. But like as far as like gloves and stuff like that, not really. All right, let's look at some more pictures. Oh, here we go. Okay. The bird mask was to deter the smell of death. There we go. Amy was right, the smell. The nose part was packed with herbs and types of plants that would deter the smell. Yes, there we go. Thank you, Ed. I figured it had something, but I didn't want to be wrong. So I wasn't going to guess. Let's pull up some more pictures because this place is really cool. Okay. So this is what it actually looks like right now. Well, it's probably a little more grown now, but a few years ago when I first researched this. So you're getting bloodletting. They're doing all these herbs, all this stuff they can try. Most people were dying. I wrote it down. How many? I think they lost 100,000 people. It was a lot. And that's just in Italy. So what happened is it was mass casualties. So they were burning the bodies because they didn't want to put the bodies in the ground at first. They were trying to kill the disease at its point. So if you passed away, you're getting burned. And you got to think, so many were getting burned at one time. And then eventually it became like a mass graveyard too. Awesome, Amy. Yeah, Amy won the award. She got it right. So this is where it gets kind of funky. So to this day, 50% of the soil on this island is human ash. Because remember, they're burning the bodies, but where is the ashes going? It's staying on the island. Nothing is leaving the island. You're coming in, but you're probably not going out. And in fact, if you worked on the island, there was probably some kind of housing for you there, and you would probably ended up sick unless you had one of those fancy masks and hope that it worked. So that's what happened. All these mass casualties, if I can talk. And here's another one. Okay. Here we go. See how the leaves are growing into the beds? These are the actual beds that people would sleep. Well, this is not the people then, but what I'm about to talk about. So it's like a sanitariums on a large scale. Absolutely. So if you were to walk the island today, you are walking on people's ashes. And so that's one of the main reasons it's closed down, because it's like a safety thing, right? Obviously. Oh, and fun fact, the bubonic plague is still around today. It's just not, it's just not well known anymore. And we have treatment for it. And well, unless you live in like a different country that doesn't, but like here, you most likely will survive. There's chances you may not, but it's not like it was then. The plague killed 25% of the population. Yeah, I had it. Let me see. I had the exact numbers and I don't know where I put it. Oh, that's for the crane. Here we go. Here we go. I'm sorry. I got it. Thank you, Robert, for asking again. So, estimated that 160,000 people died on the island over time. The soil is reportedly 50% human ash. I already said that. And the bones and human remains are still. So, the first set, they would burn you, and then they kind of like started just burning. This is just mass burning. Unfortunately, the plague victims were burned. Some of them were still alive, but because some of the diseases back then, I talk about that when we talk about the old bells on the cemeteries. Well, some of the diseases like the bubonic plague would have you in a catatonic state. So they didn't know, there's no monitors to check what your heart's doing back then. They had to either stick their hands on your neck and see if you have a pulse. But sometimes if you're in a catatonic state, your pulse is so thready and so weak that you might miss it if it's possible. So unfortunately, some people were still technically alive when they were burned. I know that's really gross, but it is. Let me see. Did I write? Okay, so that's 1700. So fast forward to this picture, 1922 to 1968. So 22 to 68, 1900s. This becomes, so the plague kind of gets its thing gone. It becomes an asylum. So just like I would so love to go and just sit in the structure, I bet it would hear a lot. I bet you would too. I would love to visit here. I need some really good like PP. So unfortunately, like many mental institutions or asylums or sanitariums, whatever you want to call them, the doctor here was performing experimental procedures on its patients. So the patients that came here to get mental health were instead enduring lobotomies, shock stuff. And I'm talking like, it's not like today where they're going to go ahead and just put you to sleep and you have a whole team of people keeping you alive. They were just experimenting. So they were just smacking your brain different places to see if it would work or if it not. And if you were lucky enough to survive, you were in pretty bad shape. And you most likely weren't going to leave this island then too. So it goes back to mass graves. So think about that, from 400 AD to, I think it finally, closed in 1968. They closed in 1968. So from AD to 1968, we started with barbarians to the plague to now, staff and mental health patients. And it is said that the doctor himself that was performing these horrific things on these human beings climbed up to the bell tower and jumped off to his own demise because he was being tormented at night. So he would go back and the people that had passed away was tormenting him. So he decided to take matters in his home. He couldn't take it no more and he jumped off the bell tower. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I want to do a whole live on Stanton one day. Like, I love Stanton. I need to get up there and take some real-time photos of Stanton. It's so beautiful. I love it. I used to go all the time because my oldest daughter's grandmother, she just passed away not too long ago, but she lived in Stanton and we used to go every year. I don't know what that is. Thank you. Electric shock is still used, however, it's a specific indication and is a lot more scientific. Yes. Well, see, back then they didn't really have any practice. They were practicing, so they didn't know if it was too much electricity, not enough, what spot to hit it on. Larry says, so if there is a curse, it can be remediated. If you do not know what you need to remediate it, the curse stay out. That said, there are many unscrumptious leeches that will bind souls and bind entities and feed them to sell books, sell tickets, sell investigations, sell room and board, if necessary. Again, do not know what is up with remote viewing. And if you do not know what is up with remote viewing and you are not going to be express purpose of mediation, have the ability to stay away. Absolutely, Larry. I think remote viewing is so cool and amazing. I love how somebody can get coordinates and tell you exactly what it looks like and never been there before. That's one of my upcoming. I'm planning on working on getting some remote viewing peeps in here, because that's a real cool thing. So again, with that being said, you cannot technically go to this island unless you know somebody that can get you in. The state, I think it's the state. Let me see. Currently owned by the state, but has been offered for private lease several times, including a failed auction in 2014. So they tried to auction in 2014. It failed. The Italian government has banned visitors. You have to have special permission to access the island. And it is not a lot more scientific. Yeah. Larry says it is not a lot more scientific. Marianne says, yes. Right. Not yes, right. So the people that have got to go to the island, that got to investigate, it's been on TV, obviously. I think Ghost Adventures might have done it, or one of the teams did it. I don't know. They will say that you will hear screaming if you're in there. Shadow figures, doorways, windows. You'll see the creepers that are crawling across the ceiling. The bell tower allegedly rings on its own, even though it's been condemned for many decades now. Locals refuse and fishermen avoid its waters because they say it's bad luck to fish there. And I think that's about it on there. Again, we went from barbarian isolation, the plague, to asylum to close. So maybe one day somebody will open it up, and next thing you know, it'll be open for views and all that things to make money. Who knows? Let me see. I testified before the NYS legislature about the shut their proposed down. Oh, about this location there? I've actually done research on it, but I'm not going to argue about it. Oh no, I'm not arguing. Everybody's opinion is welcome. I hope you don't think I'm arguing with you. I don't think I was arguing. Do you think I was arguing? If you think I was arguing, I apologize. I welcome all opinions. Again. Okay, let me see. Did I miss a picture of this place before we move on? Oh yeah, I have one more. No, I already showed that one. Here's one. Here's another one. This is kind of what it looks like now if you were able to go there. All the stuff is gone over. Okay. Cool. Oh my goodness, Rocket. My cat is throwing things across the floor. Did anybody else's cat get like sundowners where they start going wild? Okay. Let me see. Oh yeah, let's go over to India. Electroconvulsive. Oh, okay, I get what you're saying now. Okay. Let's go over here. I love that. Yes. So, India, beautiful place. And yes, you can, if so you choose and you're brave enough, you can walk and tour this place. This is a famous legend that goes to a sorcerer's curse is put on this place. And it is said to be very, very, if you were to walk on it, usually you're cursed or you're going to have some kind of bad luck or something's going to happen to you. Oh, the little hearts. Ain't this pretty? Let me take a moment to enjoy. So what happened is a sorcerer, allegedly, where is my sorcerer? I had to get like a little, here we go. So we have a sorcerer, and he fell in love with a beautiful princess that was the princess of this area. And he decided that he knew that he would never willingly love her. Like she was beautiful. She was like the top woman of the town or the place, and every man wanted her. And he knew that he didn't have a chance. I don't know why he thought that, but that's what he thought. And so he decides he's going to cast a love spell on her. Now, apparently, she had the upper hand on him and knew it was coming. So she decided to do her own little magic and ended up somehow a boulder fell on top of him. And as he was getting ready to pass away because he was crushed, he deemed that the whole place here would be cursed, and anyone that ever touched the land again would be cursed. And that, so that, and then that's what happened. And he passed away, and, that's the story. Now, also, there's a sage's curse, too. There is a man who would look kind of like this. This is not the actual man, but, okay, here we go. So on the cursed land, there's theories too that the only reason the fort is there is because this man decided, if it's going to upload, is it showing you guys? Yeah, I don't think it's a good thing to do that to people. Don't get me wrong on that. Yeah. So the guy was like, okay, I'm going to allow you to build a fort on this land as long as the shadow, long as the sun, when it shines down on the fort, does not cast a shadow on my home. And apparently the people built the fort, the shadow was cast, and he cursed the land. So we have two different stories of this land being cursed. Who knows which one is true? People just casting spells and cursing each other. Yeah, isn't it crazy? It is wild. It is wild. So we have a sorcerer who's in love, and we have this guy right here who apparently he didn't want the shadow because that's where he meditated. I don't know. But apparently the curses caused a downfall. Nothing ever became of this fort. It ended up falling. Anybody who tried to fight here would lose. Anybody who would walk and try to stay overnight would get sick. A lot of things would happen. Let me pull up the picture of the actual place again. Nothing good came of it. Yeah, let me get this place back up. Okay. So nothing good would come of it. And to this day, you can still kind of view it. However, beware because you might come home with something you don't want. Now, it's technically supposed to be prohibited, but people go every day, all the time. And so we have a deadly love story, sage broken condition, and shorn wrath. And obviously, if you abandon a location, it's going to fall apart. So there's always the abandonment aspect of it too. I'll leave it up to you guys to decide. That is wild. Let's see. I think I have time for one more. Let's do. Is this the same one? No. Yeah. Let's go to Romania, and then I'll do the other half the next time. But I don't want to keep you guys past the hour. Let's move on to Romania. So in Romania, there is a forest where the trees are curved like this, and nothing grows. Nothing. For years, nothing grows. They say it's cursed by UFOs. And because the UFO comes down, it doesn't allow anything to grow. Here is another photo from Romania of it to kind of show you from a helicopter perspective of it. It's called Hoyo Bacui Forest in Romania. Now, if you were to go, because it is a forest and it's open to the world, if you were to go, most people that go here report they got headaches, rashes, nausea, and a sensation of being watched. Pretty and creepy. So the reason that it became an uproar of this place is because in 1968, this guy right here, where is he? He was in Romania. And do I have a picture of him? No, I don't have a picture of him, but he's a military technician. He was a military technician. He was out surveying the land, and he claimed he caught a photo of the UFO. And yes, I have a picture of what he said he caught. This is his picture. I was not there, guys. Is it real? I don't know. He stands by it. He stands by it is. So there we go. This is the picture that he claimed in 1968. He took, military technician out there surveying the land, doing his thing. He noticed that, it was weird. He looked up. There's a circle. He takes the picture. This becomes a UFO hotspot. Again, wasn't there. So before you say it's fake. But this is the actual photo he took. You can look it up. This came from his personal collection. And this is what it looks like. Now, in It's also a dead zone because obviously you're not going to get no, I mean, it's the middle of the woods, guys. You're not going to get no cell service, no compass is going to work, and, you know, things like that. Oh, I've heard of this place. Dracula fought here too. Yeah, it's how many? See, I wrote it down. It's not that many miles from where Dracula and all that is. Yeah, it's near Transylvania, but it's not that far. It's like a car ride, not it doesn't take hours or anything like that. Now, so they said that skeptics will say that the only reason people are feeling all these feelings is because you're in the middle of the woods, psychosomatic, pareidolia, all this is taking an effect. You're in a creepy woods, you're bound to start hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting something creepy. But it is odd that in the middle of this forest, nothing grows here. And it hasn't for years. It still won't grow today. And there's no reason why. Looks like a portal. I agree. Isn't that a cool picture? Now, the guy stood by his whole life that was a UFO and that he took it. And, people get a whole bunch of, you know how people are. I just like Romania in itself. I want to go to Romania. Here you go. Here we go. It looks like a gigantic crop circle. Look at this. All these trees make a complete circle and nothing. Isn't that cool? Very, very cool. Okay. Make sure I didn't miss any of them. Again, this is the guy. In case you want to see him again. And he's military, so he wasn't like a paranormal person out there attempting or a UFOologist. He wasn't looking for it. He was just doing his job. And I don't know what happened to him after that. It kind of falls off. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that these places are cursed, or do you think it's just an imprint of all the tragedies? Because almost every single one of them, and I'll do the other half. I still have a lot more. Like I still have Winchester House. I still have another place in India. I have a bunch of places to talk about, but I know we're getting close. Do you guys have any thoughts, opinions? That's pretty. I like this one. That's Mount Fuji. That is beautiful. Looks like a portal. Yeah, I agree. I think all these places are portals, especially like Japan. I'm sure that's a portal. The Island of the Dolls, I'm sure that's a portal. The Plague Island, that's probably definitely, that one's so wrapped in tragedy, it's unreal. Hello, Rocket. Hello. Let me go through these one more time, in case anybody wasn't in here. So we have the Island of the Dolls. Hi, buddy. Thank you. Could be residual energy. I'm not sure about curses, but what do I know? No, there's no wrong answer because the truth is no one knows. 100%. It's definitely has, all of them have residual energy, definitely, because anytime there's a really big event, it creates an imprint. So think about that. We have here, he witnessed something horrific. And then he tried his best to keep going on. Oh, you wasn't here. This is the Island of Dolls in Mexico. So real quick, Don, his name was Don. I know we have a Don, but his name was Don. He kind of left his family and went and lived in Ireland until he passed away in 2001. This is in the 1950s when he started. He came across a little girl that had drowned, and she had her doll next to her, and he decided to appease her. He was going to hang up her doll because he felt like it was tormenting him, the spirit. And he felt like, okay, one doll wasn't enough. So he started mass finding dolls and trash and things like that and hanging them up everywhere. And then he passed away in 2001 by drowning in the same spot he found the little girl. Thank you. Thank you, Robert. There has to be something to the fact there's nothing grows there in such a negative vibe. Yeah, but if you ask anybody, it all goes to UFOlogy there. it all goes back to that. Okay. All right, guys. That's creepy. Yeah, that is creepy. It is really creepy. So we talked about that. And then next we went to Japan. I just showed Mount Fuji. And then we talked about India. Oh, we talked about Italy. Italy. Isn't it pretty? And then we talked about India. And so I will pick up next time with another place in India. It's a lot of places. And we'll have a couple that are here in the United States as well to talk about that is apparently cursed. And there's even one that's considered like a Bermuda Triangle that's local to us. So it'll be fun. Yep. But on a side note, guys, next week I'm excited to say that, let me see. I can put myself back up here. Okay. Next week, I'm excited to say that I have the beautiful Glenda Dawson joining me, and we are going to talk about the Akashic Records. So think about that, guys, this week. Think about what kind of questions you have about the Akashic Records. Have you ever been able to go into meditation and go to the Akashic Records? Do you know what they are? What was your experience? I would love to know. It's going to be amazing. And I can't wait to talk to her. She is really good about it. She knows how to visit them and all the things, Akashic Records. I'm excited. So that's what we have to look forward to. And then the following week, we'll pick back up on Cursed Places. But in the meantime, I want to say thank you to everyone who has hung out this past hour. Thank you for all the comments and the shares and the likes. And you could be anywhere else, but you chose to be here. And I'm so grateful for each and every one of you guys. If you ever have any ideas on shows you want me to do, feel free to reach out to me. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I hope you do something for yourself. I hope you have a good weekend, guys. I finally found the button. Have a good one, guys. Thank you so much.